Yeah, I don't know, but the bag was very opinionated, and the bag, quite often said the wrong things at the wrong time, as just a way of life. And I don't know if this day and age is the right. Maybe it is the right time for the bag to make a
It
return,
is. It is.
to finally stand up and say the things that need to be said.
Welcome to the Here to Zen Podcast, your genre-free home for music, stories, and inspiration. Our goal is simple: to share a love for every kind of music, connect with the artists who make it, and dive into the stories that shape their journeys. This is more than a podcast. It's a community built on passion, curiosity, and the joy of sound. So plug in, turn it up, and let's find the Zen in every beat.
Okay, Andrew,
Good afternoon, Alex.
hang on a second here. Oh, I have everything's on. Okay, cool.
How you going?
Good, good. How are you?
Fantastic. Fantastic for a Tuesday morning in Brisbane, Australia.
Oh, you're in Brisbane. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Ex Sydney boy, but
Yeah,
Brisbane's the place to be.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
So
been to yet, but hopefully soon.
you have a lot of Canadian brethren that visit here regularly. So
Yeah,
and it seems that I gravitate towards Canadians, all my good buddies,
yeah,
Canadian musicians. So yeah. So congrats on the thrill. It's a bit of a different sound for Envy of None, which,
yep.
I really like. Like all the music's great so far, but this one taking that little left turn is going to keep the listeners thinking. So tell me about how the song came to be.
The whole record, Stygian Waves. Being the sophomore record, we were more comfortable with each other. We got to know our working patterns for each other. We like to work sharing files rather than in the studio together. Of course, it's difficult. Maya's in the San Francisco area.
Yep.
Um, we're in Canada, and we're not going to go to America.
Yep.
Uh, so it was, out of convenience. It was also the pandemic was on in the first record, so we worked that way, and we really enjoyed working that way. You're more focused when you're working on your own. And with the second record, the ideas just kind of started flying around not long after we finished the first record. And I think Through the Chase was somewhere in around the last third of the songs that we wrote. So we sort of covered a lot of territory, from kind of atmospheric, cinematic, dark rock, like hard rock,
Yep.
to some funky stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's one of a few songs that have that really cool kind of funk danceability
Yep.
to it. So that idea originated with, I think, with uh, Andy and Alf. They had a song that was only about 30 seconds of the riff,
Yep.
uh, but they tossed it into the pot.
Yep.
And then we got it and we started having fun with it. And it really was a lot of fun. Eventually, we made a video. It's a really
Mhm.
cool video,
Yep.
super, super low budget,
Yep.
but fun. Um, and that's released now. And we've done a couple of um, remixes to follow that. So
Yep.
yes,
As a kid who grew up in the 70s, seeing the Thunderbirds vibe film
ah,
clip
cool.
is cool. And as someone I watch a lot of like anything music I'm watching. The biggest thing for me was the tip of the hat to your speech from the Hall of Fame induction.
Oh,
I absolutely loved seeing just blah 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 all over the screen because that's kind of how I think about the Hall of Fame. So it
yeah,
was
right.
it was a great little hey Hall of Fame, I'm still here.
Yeah, yeah.
Now it's very hard, as you said, for you guys to also get out and record together, but even touring is hard because you have been around for over 50 years. I can't see you wanting to jump in a van anytime soon, Alex.
No, I'm not going to do that. I mean, we've been looking at um, the, we've been looking at how we could do some live dates. Like, what is
Yeah,
the most efficient way to do it, and is the healthiest for everybody. At this stage of my life, I'm not. You're right. I'm not going to go out on the road and travel in a van, for 50 dates.
yeah,
If we can find a way to do it where we do a residency, maybe do 5 or 6 shows in one place.
yeah.
Uh, we've been sort of working on it. We're down to a couple of shows here in Toronto, but it's still not. There's a lot of stuff going on, so it's hard to really get committed to it. But it would
Yep.
be great because I already have the musicians that we'd want to work with on it. That we would bring to a live performance,
Yep.
and it would be just awesome. Like it would sound so great, and it would look great in a small theater. About a 2,500, 3,000 seat theater with a very subdued, cool light show and that cinematic quality about both
Yep.
records. It would be awesome. So, we haven't given up on it yet, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I was going to say your music doesn't really lend itself to being in a club where the lights are kind of like, flashlights running on batteries rather than a decent light show. I could see there
Yeah.
being a bit of a multimedia
Yes.
aspect to it. So yeah, like you said, like a residency or even just some maybe fly dates where that
Yeah.
stuff's available would probably be what you're looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. If
Cool.
we can find a way to make it viable and get everybody together, we'll do it. Maybe in the new year. We'll see.
Yep. Now, while almost all of the band is in Canada, I know that, as you said, you prefer to share files. So you record your parts probably in that very room that you're sitting in right now.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get your home studio to the point where you were like, I'm finally happy, or are you still not finally happy with your home studio?
Well, so I've always had a studio.
Yep.
I had a studio. I lived in the country. Oh, that was 20 years ago, but I had a beautiful studio in the basement. It was, a proper studio with a live room and
Yep.
a great control room. We moved from there into a house in downtown in the city. I had a studio about a half hour away.
Yep.
It was a schlep to get to it back and forth, and eventually I got tired of doing that. Then we moved into a condominium. This is the second one we've lived in, but when we came in here, we did a total renovation of the apartment, of the suite, and I built a dedicated studio. So this room is soundproofed, but it's in an apartment, so it's soundproofed, but it's not a floating room, so it's not a room within a room of what
Yep.
ideally you'd want a studio to be. But I moved in all my old gear. I'm gonna just see if I can show you. Like, there's all my old analog
Wow.
stuff. Yeah, and yeah, yeah. So and you can see the guitars behind me. I had an auction. I auctioned off almost 60 guitars,
Yep.
all my babies, uh, and I thought, what am I going to do for a guitar? And then I found one under the bed, and I found one in a closet, and then I remembered I had some in storage, and before I knew it, I had 30 guitars. So I guess you never run
Yep.
out of. Um, and so yeah, I've done all my recording in here, and I do all my recording for pretty much everything that I do in this
Okay.
room.
And you've also got that new setup through IK Multimedia. It's like a Tonex pedal. Is that
Correct.
something that you're using on the new tracks? Here's one he prepared earlier.
I have a few of them, but no, because it wasn't released before
Okay.
we
Yep.
finished the record. Um, had it been released, yes, I would have used it. I mean, I have a cabinet in the corner here. It's all enclosed. I had 4 heads, and I just ran through switchers so I could utilize the cabinets, mic cabinet, with any of those heads. For most of the recording, that's what I used. So it was a Bogner, a Lurk stamp, a Mesa Boogie, and a Matchless.
Okay, cool. Now you've got two full albums under your belt, which is going to be great if the time comes to go and play live. But the band sort of, it seems to be an ever evolving process where out of nowhere there's a new Envy of None song. So are you constantly looking at new music as you're going along?
Um, yeah, we were so excited with the first record.
Yeah.
So released another single shortly after, like I think a couple of months later. And we had kind of started working on the album on Stygian Waves almost immediately after finishing. We had a little, meeting, and it's like, what? So now what? Well, let's start the next record.
Yeah.
And then we dove into it. Going forward from here, uh, I'm not sure. Everybody's been pretty busy,
Yep.
so there hasn't been the same kind of chatter about getting back into work. But we all had such a great time. We really enjoy working together. So it's just a matter of finding the time at this point for the next one. So will we release singles as we go along? Yeah, maybe. That's not a bad idea. That's kind of the way things are done now.
Yeah.
Albums are, a dicey proposition for the most part these days. And the music industry is very, very different from the one that I grew up in. And it's never going to go back to what it was. So
Yep.
get used to it and try to find how to work through it.
Yep.
A lot of people, how do you buy a record? How do you buy a song? I guess you download it, but, all those ways. You can't make a living on what those
No.
providers pay for for a young new musician. I don't know how you make a living. So it's all about live performance, and
Yep.
we're not there yet. So
You could either do that or take nude photos and put them on TikTok. That's the way to make money.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're so right.
Now, I want to ask about you're in like a little band that I think did something back in the day. I think they're like Rush, some little band like that. But
Hmm.
you paired with a producer called Nick Raskulinecz. Now,
Yeah.
Nick has also gone on to do lots of other things too. Now, I've got friends that have worked with him that said when he's in the studio, he is the most unconventional producer ever. And there's weird, almost like dance moves with cowbells and drumsticks and things like that. What memories have you got of working with Nick?
I remember when Nick first came to meet with Getty and me when we were preparing Snakes and Arrows. And we played him some of the stuff that we were working on at the time. And the guy was just so enthusiastic. We wanted to meet him to see if we could get along with him on a personal level, because
Hmm.
we never wanted to be in the studio with a producer that we're not super comfortable with.
Yeah.
I mean, really, for the most part, we know exactly what we want or what we wanted from our music, but we wanted to have a producer there to look after all the stuff, to be the organizer of everything. Uh, and Nick is just so enthusiastic about music, and he's
Yep.
a big Rush fan. So it was a really happy marriage working with him. He's very skilled as an engineer and a producer. He loves that end of recording, so that's always a good thing to have.
Yep.
Somebody that's dialed in on the technology. Um, it was a joy. Like, so we had that meeting, and he left, and Ged and I talked about it. He said, "Well, we can't beat his enthusiasm." I keep using that word, but so he got the gig, and then once we started working together, it was just so positive, everything
Yep.
moving forward, and he was really driving us to get back to more of a core of what Rush was, relying less on keyboards and more about the core three piece
Yep.
that the band was. So he was ideal for us. And Clockwork Angels, I mean, we've done a couple records with him, a few records, and Clockwork Angels, um, he really wanted us to make another concept record.
Yep.
He's a little old school. And we hummed and hawed about it. We weren't sure if that was the right thing, but uh, once we got into the mode and Neil started writing in that sense, with that sensibility of a concept record, it was just the right way to go. And now it's definitely one of my favorite Rush records.
Awesome. Now back to Envy of None. You're making sure that proceeds go out to victims in the Ukraine and things like that. And you come from European heritage, so I'm sure there are things from, being Serbian. Lots of stuff happened in the old Yugoslavia back in the day too. So I'm sure all of that is very dear to you. How important is it do you think bands that have got something to say it without making it all about themselves?
Yeah, it's a touchy one because you know uh, musicians quite often uh, are told not to say anything because they don't have an opinion.
Yep.
You know, by those sort of people that do have opinions. Um, I have a fairly good uh, base in history. Like I've always loved history.
Yep.
Uh, I for a while I studied Serbian history and found it fascinating because those are my roots. But I was born in Canada. I'm a Canadian to Serbian parents. Um, so I just find it intellectually interesting to learn about that kind of stuff.
Yep.
With Ukraine and seeing what the Russians are doing and the long history of the Russians as a
Yep.
nation, as a power, and what they did in uh, when they arrived in Yugoslavia at the end of the war, uh, better than the Nazis, but not a whole lot. You can see that they have a brutal streak to them.
Yep.
And what's happened in Ukraine and continues to happen is just horrendous and unacceptable. And who helps? There's so many places to help. But when on the first record, we made a fairly substantial donation
Yep.
to the United Nations refugee UNCHR, I think it is. Um, and we had an opportunity to do it again, and there seems to be a waning in the support that the Ukraine is getting from the West. Uh, that one of their most powerful allies isn't doing anything, and in fact sides with Russia on a lot of it. Thank you, Mr. Trump. Um, so it's one little small thing that we're doing, and it's to help people. It's not to buy bombs or drones, which I probably wouldn't have a problem with, but that's not what this is about. This is helping people to survive this onslaught
Yep.
that they're facing every day. And it's if we can do it in any way we can, then we certainly will. And I would encourage anybody to do that, any musician, any person to
Yeah.
do that.
Now I've got to ask, well, you say you're Canadian born but Serbian heritage. Is there a particular Serbian food or custom from your childhood that you still love now?
So I try to go to my mom's on most Mondays.
Hmm.
Uh, my mom's 92. She just turned 92 last week. My sisters meet me there, my two sisters, one older, one younger, and we have lunch and we play cards. We play tablica, which is a Serbian card game.
Yep.
So we play cards and we talk and gossip and eat, of course.
Yep.
And my mom will make chivap. She'll make burek. She'll make gibenica. She'll make Serbian dishes when it's her turn to do lunch.
Yep.
I bring nice croissant sandwiches, ham and cheese and tuna.
Yep.
But she goes all out on the Serbian end of things. And I love it because that food, I truly did grow up with that food. And
Yep.
it's definitely hearty food. And it comes from a place of uh, suffering. You know, traditionally that part, the Balkans have been such a, difficult place to grow up and live, and always wars and fights and something terrible going on. So food became that sort of thing. The scarcity sometimes,
Hmm.
force you to eat a certain way and certain things. And I think of all those things when I eat those dishes and the feeling that they give me to kind of give you some kind of satisfaction. You know what I
Yep.
mean? It
Yeah,
just
yeah.
makes you feel good when things are not going great
Yeah.
around you.
Well, I grew up in Sydney, which was a very huge Yugoslavian community.
Yeah,
No matter where the border lies for you. So Shavap is
yeah.
even my kids. I've got six kids from 30 to 11. They've all eaten it, and They all tell their friends, and all their friends look at them like they're fucking nuts.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah,
Well, I I was almost Australian instead of Canadian when my father was immigrating to Canada. They He wanted to move to the States. He wanted to immigrate to America because his first wife's family, who passed away early in their marriage, she had family in Chicago. Chicago has a very big Serbian diaspora, and so the second choice it was either Canada or Australia. And my dad said to him, living in a refugee camp in Italy after the war, Australia seemed like moving to Mars. So
yeah,
they chose Canada, but it was pretty close.
yeah. I look a lot of the same sensibilities.
Yeah, for definitely. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I've got to ask, if you do tour, if you can do one favor for me, as a Kiss fan, I'd like you to bring the bag out of retirement just to torment people so we can see it in the modern day thing. I'm not going to get you to explain it, but if people want to know, there's enough around on it, on the bag. I think you need to reinvent the bag for 2025.
Yeah, I don't know, but the bag was very opinionated, and the bag, quite often said the wrong things at the wrong time, as just a way of life. And I don't know if this day and age is the right. Maybe it is the right time for the bag to make a
It
return,
is. It is.
to finally stand up and say the things that need to be said.
I was lucky enough to do some meet and greet work with Ace, and I asked him about the bag. And the thing he said was the bag was the most offensive person in the room, but the best offensive person in the room.
He loved the bag. He The bag would make him cry. Like,
Yeah.
he loved the bag because the bag insulted everybody in the room. And if you were a guest, especially if you were a guest of someone in particular,
Hmm.
the bag really laid into it. And that guest was really, really upset.
How many chickens left that guest's chicken coop because of the bag?
Well, on a given night, yeah, 3 or 4 probably.
Probably for their betterment.
Oh, definitely.
All right, Alex, I will let you go. Congratulations on the new music.
Thank
Hopefully,
you. Thank you.
we see you down in Australia, and we will definitely cook up some Shabbat.
Awesome. You got a deal.
Awesome, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Here to Zen podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We truly appreciate every single one of you who listens, shares, and supports what we do. This podcast is all about celebrating music in all its forms, and it wouldn't mean anything without this amazing community around it. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love it if you could take a moment to rate and review us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening right now. It really helps us reach more music fans and keep the conversation going. And don't forget, you can be part of our online community too. Join the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your favorite tracks, or even what music means to you. This isn't just our podcast, it's yours too. From all of us here at Here to Zen, thank you again for being part of the journey. We appreciate your support more than words can say. Until next time, keep listening, keep sharing, and keep finding the Zen in every beat.